I understand most of you are wondering what goes on during vaccination. Number one, if you are doing this for the first time, please and please always invite a veterinary official to help you plan, and always have your district veterinary officer on speed dial. Districts that are in the cattle corridor, we are usually given a few vaccines at no extra cost, but all you have to do is at least facilitate the officials coming to dispense that vaccine on your farm. For example, vaccines like PPR, vaccines like Capri pneumonia, all those are given free of charge in most districts. All you have to do is to keep calling your DVO and find out if any vaccines have been availed at the district. But for people who can ably buy these vaccines on your own, please go and access them and vaccinate very fast. But if you are doing it for your first time and you are not experienced, remember, every time you dispense these vaccines poorly, they cause side effects. So ensure you involve the vet at all cost. Some of you panic every time your animals fall sick because you didn't vaccinate on time. And what you're advised by fellow farmers, go run and vaccinate the animals. When you vaccinate an animal that is already sick, you are causing more harm. Actually, that animal, if you have, say, 30 animals that are sick, or maybe they have been hit by PPR strokepox, and you're trying to vaccinate, out of 30, you may save like 5 animals, the rest will die. So I wouldn't advise a farmer to vaccinate animals that are already sick. If you get a chance to buy these vaccines, ensure that they are stored under cold chain. What do I mean by cold chain? They are stored under ice. They have to be under a certain temperature prior to coming to your farm. That even when you are dispensing them, they should be under cold chain. Some of you, when you get these vaccines, you throw away the ice, and often I've been on farms where they are vaccinating as the workers are already eating on the ice. This is a bad practice. I wouldn't advise any farmer or any person on a farm to play with this ice that has come with the vaccines on your farms. Remember, if this vaccine is not stored under cold chain, it means that vaccine is not safe for your goats. It is like an expired drug. You all know what an expired drug can do to a body, or it can do to a goat. Actually, it's like you are sending your goats to death very fast that you can ever imagine. Always move with your vaccines in a cold chain. That even when you vaccinate these goats and there is a remainder of that vaccine, please do not keep it for the next use. It can only be used at that exact time, at that exact moment. Always buy enough that can be consumed by your goats. Most of these vaccines are in vials of 100 mils. So most of our goats get between 1 to 2 mils. So how do you budget for this? For example, at your farm, you have 100 goats. This means if you have 100 goats, you first count how many babies do you have, are you going to vaccinate, and how many adult females are you going to vaccinate. For example, a vaccine like Clostridioides, most adult goats get 2 mils. So if you have 50 adult goats, it means 1 bottle is going to be covered fully because each adult goat is going to get 2 mils. So the 100 mils will be done. And then if you have, say, 50 kids, each kid is going to get just 1 mil. And remember, always, if you use these vaccines, the empties and the vaccines should not spill anyhow. Every time the vaccines spill, these are live microorganisms you are playing with. Actually, you are introducing the infection you're trying to prevent from your herd live on your farm. Make sure that when you are vaccinating, this vaccine does not spill anywhere on your farm. And after vaccinating, always ensure that all the contents from the vaccination, be it the bottles, be it the ice, be it the the disposable box where the ice has been. Please don't let the workers play with this. Always dispose it off correctly. I've had a scenario where farmer A sends a boda guy to buy a vaccine. And then this boda guy, after getting the vaccine, ends up somewhere in the market to buy fish. And maybe gets another plan for another passenger to be taken somewhere else. And then he remembers that he was sent for a vaccine some time back. And then he rushes to your farm. By the time this boda guy remembers to bring this vaccine to your farm, the ice is already gone. This is no longer a vaccine. It is poison. He's bringing you poison. It's no longer a vaccine. So what do you do in such a scenario as a farmer? Some of these things, when you're ordering for these vaccines, for example, I'm from Rakai. I always get my vaccines from downtown in Kampala. But they reach here in Rakai with lots and lots of ice. Pay some extra money for some good packaging for your vaccine to reach when it's still in its what? Ice. Rakai is 250 kilometers from Kampala, but I always get my vaccines when they are intact. You can also do the same, even if you are 100 kilometers away from Kampala. And most veterinary shops of late have put these services near. For example, in Imbarara, there are veterinary shops that store these vaccines for you. Still on vaccination and why we vaccinate our goats, a number of you call me and ask, my goats are pregnant, should I vaccinate my goats? These vaccines are safe for your pregnant goats. Please vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. And also, prior to vaccinating your goats, please ensure that you don't give any antibiotics to your goats, and also ensure that the syringes you are using are thoroughly washed prior to vaccinating your goats. Every time you mix an antibiotic with a vaccine, you'll have done no work. Basically, you'll have not vaccinated your goats. I don't know how I can explain this medically, but you can ask your veterinary officer. He will explain this so well to you. And remember, it's not advisable for a farmer to mix different vaccines and administer them to one particular goat. For example, you are panicking and it's the rainy season somewhere, and you want to give your goats Clostridial infections, that vaccine, you want to give them PPR, you want to give them Capri pneumonia, and then you end up giving all the 3 vaccines at a go. This is not right. Actually, the right procedure would be to plan prior to vaccinating these goats. How do you go about this? For example, after giving a certain vaccines, jump 3 to 4 weeks, and then you go into another vaccine. And also remember, this can only be possible, you as a farmer, if you keep records on your farm. Remember, this vaccination is done on a yearly basis, especially for vaccines like Clostridials, PPR, Capri pneumonia, and for vaccines like for brucellosis and OFF, this is something you can do once in a lifetime of a goat. These vaccines, by the way, are there. Some of you are not aware that they are there. We have them stocked in our veterinary shops. These are vaccines given once in a lifetime of a goat. But before or prior to giving these vaccines to your goats, they have a lot of technicalities. Ensure you consult a vet always. These are things you will not finish on your own. Actually, my first time to vaccinate off in my kids, I had to bring in a vet from Kampala. We spent half a day. He was teaching us. So what stops you from doing the same, especially if your target is to become a commercial goat farmer in Uganda?